right, we're back. And now we're going to talk about sort of the early part of your career. And now you've had the influences and you've started writing and stuff like that. What did you do first?
Well, I started singing at a young age, but really just around the house and for myself. And I don't think anybody realized I could sing.
Yeah.
And then I was in a school musical. I kind of ended up, with a little solo because my music teacher had realized I must have, a bit of talent from what she'd heard. And my dad came out to the musical and said, "Oh, you can sing," and I didn't really even probably realize. And then I was in his band for a very short time before I left home at 15. I sang with my dad's band just a few songs and would do some of the gigs with them, but of course had to come out from the green room to the stage, do the show, and then go straight back to the green room because I was underage. And that did teach me a bit about being in bars and what it was like to be on stage and to be at rehearsals with the guys and stuff. And that was a great experience to have at a young age. And then I went out on my own. So it was a little while until I got back into music again. And I ended up in a bar band playing up and down Vancouver Island for about 3.5 years. We're called Gravy Train. And it was a great experience for me because even though I had taken a year of jazz vocal at Malaspina College, the same college that Diana Krall went to, I didn't feel that it actually ended up giving me as much as being in the bar band for 3.5 years did, just because simply I learned all the ins and outs of what it really takes to be out there playing and sometimes to be working quite hard for a small amount of money. But the passion for music really showed itself then because I stuck with it and continued to do that. And then I attended something called the Hornby Island Blues Workshop, where I was really impacted by what some of the teachers there who were professional blues musicians that had been brought from different parts of Canada to teach at this thing said to me about my voice and the possibility of having a career in the blues or in music in general if I was interested in that. And that is when I actually broke away from the band, even though we were doing quite well, and decided to start over again sort of from scratch and released my first album in 2005. And I had been waiting, sort of thinking that I needed a lot of money or a big record label at some point, that I wasn't going to make a record in a little way, that I needed it to be this thing. And it was really important that I finally just put an album out and learn from the mistakes. And so I worked with a man named Alec Watson in Nanaimo, and it's probably the least bluesy album I've got. It was really a learning experience, and I co-wrote with some writers in Nashville.
His influences were more modern country,
A little
right?
bit more country, so it was a bit of a country blues, soul blues album, and there's some good stuff on it, but definitely it shows you that at that time I wasn't comfortable with my own songwriting enough to go with my songs. I wanted to co-write a couple, and the others are actually songwriter songs from people that pitched them to me in Nashville when I was there. And also just the sound of the album was not as rootsy as the albums that came after it. So 2005 I released that EP called You Will with Alec Watson and Nanaimo, and we pressed it ourselves, meaning it didn't actually go to a manufacturer. I sat around the kitchen table with my family and we put the discs in each case and sold them without the plastic wrap on them, and it was really the beginning of it all. So, and of course the albums, a lot of them have been a calling card, so it was sort of my business card. I could give people at least that if I didn't sell it to them. I had something then finally to let people know what I sounded like at least. That was a great learning experience for me. I don't regret that record at all, and I'm glad I finally started putting albums out at that point, because otherwise I think I might have convinced myself to wait even longer, and that would have been a mistake.
Well,
so.
You were sort of at the vanguard. I mean, things were changing at that time anyway. I mean, people were starting to do more of their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was that period of time when people realized,
Yes.
hey, the hell with the record companies. I'm not waiting for that, right?
Yeah, and everybody has the technology, or started to have it then, and even more so now that you can make an album at home and it can actually sound pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to make really bad albums all on their own.
That's right, and never be able to promote them or get them anywhere, but you can make them. You and your dog can make an album at home.
Yeah,
now.
exactly, yeah.
For sure.
My dog has fleas.
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to go to break again, and we'll be back, and we'll talk about the next couple of albums that you did and
Okay.
sort of what happened after that.
Sounds
right?
great.
Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes.